Today we're at the Cliff House and we're talking indoor air quality and specifically about our HVAC system, or our heating and cooling system, and why we don't place it in the attic, the garage, or the crawl space. I'm Dave Edwards.
And I'm Juan Flores.
Let's take it away. Respiratory diseases affect 1 in 10 Americans, or about 34 million people in the United States alone. $80 million of additional money is going into treating respiratory diseases just in the last 20 years. And one of the reasons is that we just don't pay enough attention to indoor air quality. And because we spend 90% of our time indoors, we really need to be looking at how we protect indoor air quality in houses and the buildings that we occupy. So one of the things that we've noticed a lot in our 20 years of doing construction is that we very often find heating and cooling systems inside the attic or the garage or the crawl spaces. Now, as we all know, the garage is where we keep most of our toxic chemicals, the things that we don't want in our house because they're just not healthy for us. Attics are filled with rodents and all asbestos and old insulation. And crawl spaces in California can be filled with radon, a radioactive gas that can cause cancer, as well as rodents and bugs and lots of dirt. So what we need to do is think about how we protect the indoor air quality of our houses by moving our heating and cooling systems from those areas that are outside the conditioned envelope of the house. And the conditioned space, as we've talked about in previous videos, is the area within the house that's inside the insulation envelope and that is heated and cooled by our heating and cooling systems. And so what we need to make sure is that when we place our heating and cooling systems, they're inside the insulated envelope. So Juan, at the Cliff House, how are we working to protect the indoor air quality of the house and make sure that our clients are not exposed to the stuff that we have in the crawl spaces or the attics or in the garages?
Yeah, so as you probably can see, all the space where you're not sheetrock in the garage is part of the existing or the old system that the clients had. They had a force unit, one in the exterior and one in the garage. So now we're gonna rid off just two things. So we create more space and we go with more efficient systems.
So this whole area that we see that doesn't have sheetrock, that hid all of the existing furnace and air ducts.
Correct. That's where all the ducts and the giant ducts running through to the envelope.
So they were literally pulling air out of the garage and out of the crawl spaces and everything else and
Correct.
Blowing it into the house.
Correct.
Now, one of the things that probably most people don't know is that a typical furnace or an air system in a house leaks about 40% of its energy. Now, what does that mean? That means that of every dollar that you're using to power that furnace or that air conditioner, about 40% of that is leaking out of those ducts before they ever reach the rooms that you're trying to heat or cool. Now, think about it in the context of your car. Like if you had a gas tank that leaked 40% of the fuel onto the ground before you ever got to use it to move your car, would that be acceptable?
No.
Probably not,
No.
right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we accept that in our modern houses. And so what we need to do is move all those air conditioning units inside the house. So, we talked about earlier about this project and it being an all electric house. So how does the electricity and this heating system that we're using in this house differ than what we had previously, which is these kind of central furnaces that then blew air through giant ducts?
Yes. So now we become with a more efficient systems and everything is going to be made controlled by the electrical mini splits.
Okay.
Which is going to go through to the conditioned spaces in different areas of the house. And those going to be controlled by the heat pumps.
Okay.
And those heat pumps going to be located in the exterior of the house.
Okay, so we're going to have the main heat pump is going to be outside the house, but what's going to be inside the house?
We're going to install different systems. We're going to install cassettes and mini splits and a small air handler. Everything is according to the shape of the house.
Okay.
Where depending on the space on the attic that we have, to install the cassettes or the the mini splits.
Okay, so in a typical mini split system, we have three types of inside units. We have the types that are sitting on the walls, and we're showing a picture of that. And then we have the ones that are cassettes that fit in ceilings, but they're restricted to rooms with flat ceilings.
Correct.
And then the last one is what are called ducted mini splits, which are essentially a blower and an air conditioning coil that can heat or cool the space. And they're like little mini furnaces, but they're all electric.
Correct.
Right? And so we're using that in this house, but we're actually using them all inside the location within the insulated envelope. So none of them are located in places where we're going to get toxic chemicals or dirt or rats or anything like that.
That's right.
Okay. So really what we're doing is with this project is we're designing the heating and cooling system to be entirely within the conditioned envelope. So they're never exposed to those chemicals or various environmental pollutants that you would normally see in a furnace. That way we can protect indoor air quality, protect the clients living in this house, but also be much more energy efficient, and they're actually much more cost effective. And lastly is we're taking all this space that we have, not only in the ceiling of the garage, but in closets and in floor systems, and we're using that so that the clients can actually use that for things like storage and additional closet space. So the clients are getting a better return on investment, they're spending less money on furnaces, and they're getting more actual usable space in their house.
Correct.
Right. So if you're interested in learning more about building science or following our other projects, hit subscribe as we show you how to build a better way.